You talked about how much that one loss bothers you. Is there any reason to go back and revisit that fight?
I think it bothers me worse than it bothers him.
Yeah, he's blown it off, it seems like. Is there any reason to revisit? I mean, it was a dominant performance, even though he got a loss. Is there any reason to go back to it? Or
what do you mean?
To do a rematch so that he can kind of avenge that loss, even though it was really not much of a loss?
I don't think so. I don't think anybody thinks, oh, God, I wonder what would happen in that second fight. You know what I mean? It's just part of the whole, judging, reffing bullshit that I always bitch about. That shouldn't have happened. It shouldn't have happened that way. He shouldn't have a loss. So it's unfortunate. Like he says, he walks around and everybody's like, oh, he lost one. He must not be you're not that great if you lost one. That's still people's mentality when he really didn't lose it.
Well, do you think, I guess it was Mazzagatti ref that fight, but I mean, I think that was when he got right, wasn't it? I mean, it was a downward.
But it was downward. You take a point. You take a point, or you whatever, or.
But the guy can't continue.
But he couldn't continue because his shoulder was messed up. Had nothing to do with the elbow. Why the fight was stopped had nothing to do with the elbow. If he had been gashed open here and the fight couldn't continue, or broke his nose and he couldn't continue, anything to do with the face or anything to do with the illegal strike, then it didn't. He couldn't continue because of his shoulder.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. That should never have been the call.
Speaking of weird things, that thing with Buentello with his finger. Now that should have been a TKO, shouldn't it?
Yeah. I mean, there's things like this that happen.
Am I right on that?
Yeah. If he couldn't continue right there, you don't get to come in and
call timeout.
What was it though? Was his finger stuck in his glove?
No, his finger broke.
It broke.
Yeah.
The commissioner said that Herb said that he stopped it because of an equipment malfunction.
Malfunction. That's right.
Glove. And at that time, his finger was popped out, but he popped it back in while they're fixing the glove.
Right.
And how were they allowed to do that?
What happened was you could see he went to do something to try to stay away from the takedown, and that finger just snapped. I think it broke. And you could tell by the way he was, that finger broke. That wasn't all, oh no, my finger's caught in my glove. That was like a finger just broke. And you're absolutely right. That would have been a TKO.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I mean, it was just crazy.
Yep.
And you're not allowed to pull it out then, too. It's aiding a fighter. I mean, you're not allowed to do that.
Right. It's true.
Yep. What'd you think of that one guy's line of questioning about Czech being a dirty fighter?
And wait a minute, and he could have fixed the finger.
I just want to follow.
He could have fixed the finger when the fight was called off.
Right, of course.
You know what I mean? It would, and really, this sounds fucking insane, but it's like going in there and popping Dwayne's foot back in and saying, okay, let's continue the fight.
Of course.
You know what I mean? If that was possible, it would be like doing the same thing. So yes.
Talking about Dwayne, do you think if he's able to continue fighting, he'll be back fighting for the UFC again?
Listen.
Considering the way the fight.
I love Dwayne. He's always been a kid who comes to fight, loves the fight. That was a tough break. I don't know. We'll see what happens with him. Yeah, he's always been a kid who's on the radar, always hanging out there and always ready and willing to fight.
What do you think about Irvin's move down to 185? And is he in danger of being cut from the UFC?
Irvin looked terrible at the weigh-ins. I mean, there was shit coming out of his face that was, I couldn't tell if it was skull or scar tissue or what it was, but 205 was a tough cut for him. You know what I mean? 85 must have. Listen.
You look bad tonight.
I said it last night on Twitter. I'm a huge James Irvin fan. I'm a fan of the guy. I really am. And, he's had some of the best knockouts in the UFC, and he always comes to fight. Tonight, it looked like the 85 cut killed him. He couldn't get off. He couldn't throw any punches tonight, and he was basically getting lit up by Sakara. And that's not James Irvin. That's not who he is as a fighter. The 85 cut's too hard for him.
So does he have a place in 205 in the UFC, or is he in danger?
I don't know yet. Those are decisions we make when we get back to the office. But I'm a fan. I'm literally a fan of him. I really like him a lot.
But you tell him 205, not 185 next time?
Yeah, no more 85s for him, man. He didn't look good yesterday. I mean, I think he's got a lot of scar tissue in his face up here under his eyes, man. That was sticking out more than his eyeballs were. He didn't look good yesterday.